The museum's revolving doors clung to the night air as Sam Harmon approached, invitation in hand, only to be stopped by a young man whose crisp black suit and nametag proclaimed him the keeper of the door. "Sir, this is a black tie event. Your attire isn't appropriate, and I don't see you on the list," the coordinator, Ethan, said with a silken sneer, the gleam of chandelier light dancing on his polished shoes, but not reaching Sam's faded jacket. "Sir." Sam nodded, the practiced calm in his posture, cracking at the edges as hurt flickered behind his steady gaze. "But perhaps a mistake," he murmured, clutching the worn envelope like a lifeline. Seconds later, the hum of glasses and laughter inside the lobby thundered against his chest, almost as sharp as Ethan's refusal. 75 years had carved lines into Samuel Harmon's face, each wrinkle a map of hardship beneath a limp earned in places far colder and more dangerous than any gala lobby. His home was a modest edge-of-town apartment, its walls lined not with art but the soft clutter of memories, a tarnished medal sleeping in a shoebox under his bed, letters whose ink faded like old scars, and photographs of comrades who never saw home again. Tuesday afternoons found him at the VAR hospital, not mending bodies, but lending ears to wounded souls, a quiet mission he preferred over strangers' judgments. Yet when Dr. Aris Thorne sent a handwritten invite to the Korean War exhibit he'd once helped shape, Sam felt a pull he couldn't refuse, a duty to the ghosts of his past who demanded to be seen. Inside, the museum pulsed with wealth and power, chandeliers dripping crystals, tuxedos and gowns gleaming like polished armor, waiters weaving through the crowd on silent feet with trays of champagne bubbling promises. Sam's leather bomber jacket, stitched with the patina of survival, drank in the light instead of reflecting it, marking him as invisible among the mirrored splendor. His boots whispered on marble as he stepped forward, invitation trembling in his palm toward the sleek check-in table where Ethan's eyes sharpened at the sight of him. Ethan held the envelope as though it bore a taint. Tapping on his tablet, he dismissed Sam with clipped questions. "Are you catering staff? Maintenance?" The hush of the lobby stung. Curious guests slowed mid-sip to stare. Sam's chest tightened, but he spoke softly. "A Dr. Thorne asked me to attend." Ethan's sigh was a curtain drop. "This is Black Tie. Your bomber jacket won't do. Please step aside." Abashed, Sam backed away, tucking the envelope into his breast pocket, and found refuge behind a velvet rope, where he glimpsed the exhibit beyond. Ghostly photographs of soldiers frozen in snow, their exhaustion seared onto film like a scar. The sight stirred memories as sharp as shrapnel. Satnal. He felt again the cold that gnawed through boots, the crackle of gunfire under a grey sky, the weight of loss borne on his shoulders every waking moment. He considered turning away, slipping back into anonymity where his battered coat blended with shadows. But something deeper held him to that spot. Stubborn ember of stubborn refusal that the world would simply erase his story. A gentle voice interrupted his thoughts. "Sir, are you waiting for someone?" An intern named Maria, her cheeks barely pink under the gala lights, offered him a kindness Ethan had denied. Dr. Thorne said he expected a special guest tonight. "Could that be you?" Sam managed a grateful smile, the first warmth he'd felt all evening. Evening. Before he could answer, Ethan reappeared, his voice sharp as icicles. "Maria, stop bothering him. He's already informed he cannot enter. Return to your station." Your station. The intern's eyes widened as Sam's patience, long stretched, threatened to snap. But he only whispered, "I am waiting for Dr. Thorne," and held his ground. The air shifted, heavy with curiosity, as the lobby doors swung open again. First came aides in crisp uniforms, then a figure in full dress uniform, whose very posture seemed to redraw the room's energy. 4 silver stars gleamed on his shoulders. His chest was a tapestry of ribbons and medals. General Marcus Thorne, the gala's guest of honor, moved with a presence like a rising tide. His gaze swept the crowd, acknowledging nods and murmurs, until it fell on the old man by the rope. On the old man by the rope. Recognition lit his eyes and displaced the polite distance he wore like an invisible cloak. He strode past director and coordinator alike, his boots echoing on marble, and in that moment, every conversation faltered mid-word, every glass paused in mid-air. General Thorne halted just before Sam, dropping a flawless salute that seemed to lower the very roof of the lobby. "Sergeant Major Harmon," he said, voice clear enough for the clamoring crowd to hear. Sam, caught between pride and surprise, lifted his hand in return, trembling only slightly, and answered in kind, "General Thorne." The general's stern features softened into a smile, a crack in the armor, revealing something like homecoming. Then his gaze sharpened on Ethan. Ethan. "Or did you refuse entry to Sergeant Major Samuel Harmon?" he demanded, tone cold as winter gravel. Ethan stammered about policy and attire, his carefully rehearsed lines collapsing under the general's scorn. "That jacket kept him alive through winters that would freeze your champagne solid," Thorne retorted, stepping forward until his starched uniform filled Ethan's field of vision. He recounted how Harmon had dragged wounded men from an ambush, wounded himself, refusing help until every last comrade was safe. "He doesn't just meet the standard, he is the standard," Thorne declared, voice ringing like a verdict. The general's words were hammer blow, blow, blow. He turned to the museum director. "Your exhibits honor heroes," he said, "but your rules turned away the man who embodies that heroism." With a slow, deliberate gesture, he extended his decision beyond discussion. "This gala is over. The military delegation withdraws." Say. A stiff evacuation order passed through aides, tuxedos and gowns scattered as if chased by an invisible force, leaving the lobby's splendor fractured and cold. Dr. Thorne's pleas drifted unheard behind the general's decisive command. In the ensuing hush, General Thorne offered his arm to Sam. To Sam. To Sam. "I know to escort you," he said, voice gentle now, "to the exhibit you helped create." They moved past abandoned champagne flutes and baffled guests into the main gallery, where black and white photographs loomed like windows onto a harsh past. Dr. Aris Thorne, eyes brimming with apology, met them there and fell into step as Sam took the lead, pointing out errors no curator could catch. A misplaced date, a mislabeled map, a story that needed telling. For the next hour, Sam spoke more than he had in years. He tapped on glass cases with weathered fingers, recalling the nights that inspired each artifact, sharing details that made still images breathe. The general stood by, silent sentinel, while the curator scribbled notes and adjusted captions. It was as though each memory unlocked another door in Sam's mind, letting light into rooms he'd long locked away. By morning, local headlines roared, "A gala disaster! 4-star general shuts down museum event over disrespect to war hero." Hero? The museum board issued a public apology to Sam and all veterans, pledged sensitivity training, and earmarked funds for veterans programs and the exhibit's upkeep. Ethan was quietly dismissed. Donations poured in. Visitors flocked to see the Korean War display, many asking silently about the man in the bomber jacket. But Sam returned to his quiet life, fixing neighbors' leaky faucets, volunteering at the VA, content to fade into the background. Still, neighbors greeted him with fresh respect, and the local VFW post welcomed him into their fold with open arms. And every few weeks, General Thorne would drop by Sam's apartment, two warm souls sharing coffee, sometimes stories, sometimes comfortable silence. One evening, as they sat in soft lamplight, the general looked at Sam's tarnished medal on the shelf and said quietly, "That night wasn't just about you. It reminded everyone what those medals cost. Blood, sacrifice, endurance." Sam traced the medal's grooves with a fingertip and whispered, "People forget when life is easy." The general nodded, his presence a steady anchor. True honor, they both knew, didn't need a rumpled invitation or a polished coat to be valid. It only needed to be seen, and on that night, thanks to a faded jacket and an unbreakable spirit, the world finally looked.